There are many blockchains claiming to be the Ethereum killer out there, and it's a fairly long list which includes Cardano, Polkadot, Cosmo, and Tron. But today I will be talking about one specific Ethereum killer project called the Solana. And here is why Solana is a bit different compared to the other blockchains. For starters, it is backed by the founder of an immensely popular crypto exchange called the FTX. One of the founders of FTX is Sam Bankman. He is one of the world's youngest crypto billionaires, and of the hundreds of projects that they received, they picked to back Solana because of how fast it is. Anatoly Yakovenko is the man behind Solana's first white paper, and its blockchain is named after the Solana beach that he really appreciated. As an Indian, Solana has my attention because one of the founders of Solana is a man named राज गोपाल. अरे भाई देसी लौंडा ग्लोबल स्टेज पे दंगल मचा रहा है. इसी बात पे एक लाइक हो जाए. Whenever you hit the like button, the algorithm recommends the video to more people, and that would really help the channel out. So please do drop a like and leave a comment below saying Solana. Hi, my name is Ranval, and you're watching Crypto Ran, wherein I explain topics related to cryptocurrencies in simple terms, making it easier for you to understand. So many people think that the tech behind Solana is an Ethereum killer, but I personally don't think that Ethereum is ever going to die. However, Solana's tech is definitely worth having a look at. Let's compare some stats. First, let's look at the transactions per second. While Ethereum can do 15 transactions per second, its competitors like Polkadot or Tron can do 1000 transactions per second. That's a pretty decent competition. But Solana can do 65,000 transactions per second. If you thought that sounded impressive, let's look at the average transaction fees. So we already know that Ethereum gas fees are a bit of a problem. Sometimes the fees are as high as $15 to $30 for one transaction. Meanwhile, its competitors like Polkadot take around $1. But Solana's transaction fees are as low as $0.0015. That sounds almost too good to be true. Usually with such scale and low fees, there has to be some trade-off, right? But Solana claims to be the most performant, permissionless blockchain in the world. And it's managed to achieve this through several new technologies which are considered as a breakthrough in the blockchain tech. Solana uses a completely different technology compared to its other blockchains, and the team that has built it includes former employees from Google, Apple, Microsoft, Intel, you name it. So let's try and understand what is the tech behind Solana. But in order to do so, we have to understand something called the Blockchain Scalability Trilemma, also known as the Blockchain Trilemma. Ethereum's co-founder Vitalik Buterin had coined the term Blockchain Trilemma. The idea in this trilemma is that there are three desirable qualities of any blockchain: decentralization, security, and scalability. But the trilemma claims that only two of these qualities can be maximized, and usually it's at the expense of the third. What this means that you could have extremely high security, be decentralized, however, you would have to compromise on scalability. Or you could have high security and high scalability, but you would be compromising on being decentralized. So all the blockchain systems have to make some sort of trade-off, which depends on the application and the use of the blockchain. But Solana claims that it has actually solved the blockchain trilemma. It's highly decentralized, it's very secure, and it's very scalable. But how does it achieve this insanity? The secret lies in a whole new mechanism called the proof of history. But before we get into the proof of history, let's do a quick revision of the proof of work and proof of stake. First, there was proof of work. In proof of work, many different computers from around the world they fought against each other in order to be able to compute the next hash. The more powerful your computer was, the more chance of beating all the other computers, so you could get a chance to compute the hash. Now, because of this mechanism, proof of work blockchains have very low transactions per second and a higher time to add new blocks. Like Bitcoin takes 10 minutes to add a new block full of transactions, while Ethereum takes about 15 seconds. That means no matter how fast your transactions get added to the block, it will take at least 15 seconds for that to reflect. Imagine clicking the post button on Instagram and it takes at least 15 seconds for it to post. Now multiply this experience into 10 times a day for millions of users. So people eventually realized that proof of work blockchain is not good enough. Soon a new concept was introduced called the proof of stake. In proof of stake, instead of all the computers fighting against each other, there was a lucky draw. Any one computer can be chosen to validate the transaction like a lucky draw. And this depended on the amount of ether that they had staked. What this would do is increase the number of transactions per second significantly. Like Ethereum is expected to go from 15 transactions a second to 100,000 transactions a second. But here's the catch. Ethereum's block time, that is the amount of the time taken to add a new block, goes from 50 seconds to only 12 seconds. In fact, the other proof of stake chains like Cardano or Polkadot, they also roughly have the same time. So proof of stake is reducing the transactions per second, but the block time isn't changing much. And there is a very fundamental reason behind it. And the reason is called timekeeping. Imagine A, B, and C. Now imagine that they are the nodes of the network. Now B is closer to A than to C. Now imagine that B does these four things. He takes a piece of paper, he writes down a note on it, he folds a note and puts it in the envelope. As soon as B folds a note and is about to put it in the envelope, Mr. X delivers a message to A and C as a message that the note is ready needs to reach all the nodes and has to be validated, and then the transaction proceeds further. Now since A is closer to B, he gets a message first and records it at around say 10:01 a.m. But C receives a message a few seconds later, let's say 10:03 a.m. Since the distance here is quite close, the difference isn't much. But when the distance is increased, the time tends to increase as well. Now this difference of even 1 minute is a lot when we are trying to build a decentralized exchange. When we trade in stock market, we are trading in a centralized exchange and they do their own timekeeping, so we all accept it. However, on a decentralized exchange, things are a little different. And decentralized tech still hasn't achieved efficient timekeeping, which is why even in the proof of stake, you can't get faster than this. Now, how do we fix it? This problem is solved by a tech that Solana is using called the proof of history. What is proof of history? See, the decentralized world works because we eliminate the need to trust any party using cryptography. And the same idea can be applied to timekeeping too. Using cryptography, we can create proof of passage of time. To understand how that works, imagine I show you these five photos. B completes writing the first line of the note. B folds the note. B completes writing half of the note. B puts the note in the envelope. B has just a blank piece of paper. Now, you can just look at all the five photos and tell which was clicked before which other photo. By simply using the logic of entropy, we can arrange all the five photos in sequence. Now imagine if there was a rule that a photo would be clicked every 5 seconds for every activity that B does. Suddenly, we have a precise idea of time. So if I make it compulsory to attach the latest photo to every block, we know that every block was created in an interval of 5 seconds. Suddenly, every block has a kind of inbuilt clock. This is exactly what proof of history does cryptographically. It uses a mathematical function which takes 0.4 seconds to give results. So that's how we know that every block in a proof of history blockchain is 0.4 seconds apart. This result is added to every block so that the validators can verify if this is correct. Basically, we do not need Mr. X to bring A and C a message that the job is done. All we are doing is clicking a picture of B every 0.4 seconds and are adding that photo to every new block. So that way the transactions are faster and the blocks are created at an immense speed compared to any other blockchain. Now, proof of history is just one of the things that makes Solana different. It has some other differentiating features as well. One, scalability. Now, Solana is very fast. It's the fastest blockchain we know. But in case that wasn't enough, Solana actually cracked a hack by which they can keep getting faster without changing much of the architecture. And they have done it by believing in something called the Moore's Law. Moore's Law basically states that every 2 years, the number of transistors in a circuit will double. Solana is not bottlenecked by software, but by hardware. So every time VDR doubles the number of SIMD lanes available, Solana's network will double in computational capacity. 2. Speed. Solana is the only blockchain today that has a transactional capacity comparable to the internet that we know today. 0.4 seconds and we are done. 3. Validators. Solana currently has around 1,000 validators right now, which is very less compared to Ethereum. There are over 200,000 validators on Ethereum. Of course, ETH has been around for some time now, but unlike Ethereum, where you need 32 Ether that you need to stake in order to be a validator, on Solana there's no set number as such. Any member holding any number of Solana is eligible to be a validator. The only drawback here is that you have to pay 1 Solana per day as fees, which comes to around $70,000 a year, which is way too much. I guess that explains why they have such a low number of validators. Now, Solana has vastly different types of smart contracts than Ethereum. Ethereum uses a virtual machine type system to run its Solidity code, while Solana uses the Rust programming language. Rust is a very low-level language, meaning it's much more powerful, but it does require more work to create things. Now let's talk about the Solana token. As Ethereum has ETH, Solana has Sol. Sol is used for transaction fees and are used all over the blockchain in the ecosystem. In terms of total supply, they initially started out with around 500 million tokens, and of course it will keep increasing due to the proof of stake rewards. The current circulating supply is around 305 million. Given that Solana is such a quick, cheap, and fast blockchain to use, naturally many new projects are being built on Solana. The top Solana projects include DEX, NFT collections, DeFi applications, and blockchain games. The most popular projects built on Solana are Serum, Mango Markets, Solarians, Solfarm, also known as Tulip, and Star Atlas. USDT and USDC have also adopted to Solana. Solana is a great investment that one can benefit from in the near future. I hope that you have learned something new through this video. I hope to see you in my next video. Do not forget to like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so for more such educational videos. Leave a comment below regarding the video. Was it useful? Did you understand the concept? Or even if you did not understand anything, please do leave a comment below. It's like a feedback for me, which will help me improve in my next video. Until next time, Crypto Ran.